The coaches, and they're going to be losing players soon come free agency. So what's next for the 49ers? I don't know, but let's break it down right here on the WayneBreezie Show. Get ready to call in and get your takes off.
So bright that we shine. All we know is the Niners. Ready to go, let us find us. So faithful to the bay. I be sipping gold bar whiskey on the rocks, and a 24 karat gold on a watch. My 7-1 Chevy be tipping nonstop, sounding like Trent Williams on the block. So you know we can't stop, we be banging through your speakers. WayneBreezie on the field or in the bleachers. You can tune into my show and I'm a teacher. WayneBreezie, the 4-9 preacher. We so bright that we shine.
What's going on, faithful? Welcome to the WayneBreezie Show on its regular day, at its regular time. It's good to be here. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there that celebrates Valentine's Day. I hope you spend it with your loved ones and enjoy the day, enjoy the night. Shout out to everybody out there. Shout out to the Breezy Bunch crew out there. What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are doing super well. We got a poll question going on, so feel free to participate in that poll question. I definitely want to shout out some of you guys. Nick Nice, I could see where this is going. He says, good morning, faithful. What's good, man? I hope things are going. What's going on? Don't bother me. Don't bother me is in the building. I see my man Jason is out there. PG's in the building, says salute. Salute to Breezy and all the faithful kings and queens. Peachy, what's going on out there? Happy Valentine's Day to everybody again. Listen, I just finished doing the Steph show. And I had a good time on there. John couldn't make the show or whatnot, but we had a good time. Definitely had a good time talking about some of the things that are going on with the 49ers, what trends, what happened over the past couple of, last night and all the stuff that's been coming out. And so what I would like to do is I'm going to kind of like extend on some of those topics and things like that, and just kind of like recap what we did over there. And then I'm going to open up the phone lines, and this will be that take off show where you guys can talk about whatever it is you are feeling to talk about underneath the sun. All right, so Big Daddy Niners was slapping Breezy. Hey, he's just upset that he didn't get the ball enough, and I agree. We didn't stick to the plan. There was no protection for Brock to get started. He's talking about Brandon Ayuk, I believe. Matthew, what's going on, bro? This is good morning, faithful. Tanisha's in the building. Good morning, Breezy. Hope all is well with the faithful in the community. I think we're getting better day by day. I think day by day we are getting better. Because what happened, and there's really no concrete explanation, especially when your coach comes out and says, everything he did was right, and it just, at least that's how I interpreted it. What's going on, Dion? It says, morning, Breezy. Good morning to you as well. All right, man, listen, don't forget to check out the promo over there at Residency. They got hats 40% off, so you can use the promo code right now. Go to www.residency.com. You can save $5 on your next total purchase. All right, let's get to some good news about the San Francisco 49ers. A couple of things that I definitely want to break down. Let me go to share the screen. The 49ers and the players voted on the awards, and I definitely want to talk about these awards and why these players were voted. And I think this is great, right? Like, good way to end the season. At least there's an up, from the ending of the season. All right, because the way that the season ended was terrible. We lost the Super Bowl. But look, the Niners, the organizations, they announced the awards. So let's go ahead and just read these over, and we'll get through them. You got the Lynn Mount Award that was given to Brock Purdy, and it tells you the Lynn Mount Award is voted on by the players and is given to the 49er who best exemplifies the inspirational and courageous play of Lynn Eshmont, an original member of the 1946 team. So whenever we do some type of trivia and I say, when did this team originate? 1946. Eshmont, who coached at Navy in Virginia following his career in San Francisco. He died in 1957. The award was established after that year. Bill Walsh, the Bill Walsh Award goes to Christian McCaffrey. The Bill Walsh Award was established in 2004. In honor of San Francisco Hall of Fame head coach Bill Walsh, the award, which is voted on by the coaching staff, is given to the 49er, who has best represented the standard of professional excellence established by Walsh. Walsh served as the team's head coach for 10 seasons from 79 through 88. In that time, he compiled a record of 102, 63, and 1, and led the team to 3 Super Bowls. He was twice named Coach of the Year, 81, 84, and was later named Coach of the Decade in 1980. Bobby McKittrick Award goes to Colton McKivitz. The Hazeltine Iron Man Award goes to Fred Warner. All right, he's the Iron Man of the team. I like that. The Thomas Harrion Memorial Award goes to safety Jair Brown. Congratulations, rookie. This award was established in 2005 by the owners, Denise and John York, and is presented to a rookie or first-year player who best represents the dream of Thomas Harrion. The recipient has taken advantage of every opportunity, turned it into a positive situation, and made their dream turn into reality. The Ed Block Courage Award goes to Javon Kinlaw. Congratulations to Javon Kinlaw. I mean, look, well deserved. He may have priced himself out of San Francisco, had a really decent year. I thought his numbers were up in just about every category, but I'm glad that he's being awarded, because if you guys remember the story of Javon Kinlaw, he was coming into this team. He was in the shadows of DeForest Buckner. He got into that off the field issue with 49er content creators and beat writers, and it was just looking bad for Javon Kinlaw. He couldn't stay healthy, but man, the Ed Block Courage Award definitely suits him. The Perry Yo Namin Unity Award goes to George Kittle. I don't think there's a better player to get that award. The Community Relations Service Awards go to a few players. Curtis Robinson, or linebacker Curtis Robinson with this season's Veteran Player Award, former 49ers El Manning with the Rookie Player Award, and General Manager John Lynch's wife, Linda Lynch, receiving the Family Award on behalf. Tight end George Kittle won the 49ers Salute to Service Award. So these are some of the other awards that came out. Walter Payton nominee was Eric Armstead. He didn't win it this year. Went to Cameron Hayward. And then the Gary Niver Award, or Niver Award, goes to defensive lineman Nick Bosa. And congratulations to Nick Bosa. So those are some of the awards. Let's give those guys a round of applause. Just wanted to touch base, make sure we show that recognition. Players out there doing the dang thing. All right, so congratulations to the players out there. Let's go ahead and fix that camera up. There we go. Now let's get into some of the other stuff that's going on with the San Francisco 49ers, because I know you got news today that just kind of like broke out. Now, prior to the news today, the current news that broke out, the 49ers also signed 9 free agents. All right, they signed 9 free agents. Sebastian Gutierrez, defensive back Kimon Hall, safety Eric Harris, safety Taylor Hawkins, wide receiver Tay Martin, defensive lineman Sam Okwayinu, linebacker Curtis Robinson, we just talked about him, tight end Jake Tongas, and then defensive lineman Spencer Waggy. All right, so the Niners signed those guys. So they got 9 free agents that are officially signed. We got to get this roster up come the new year, which is March 13th. So there's not really much time in between. March 13th, the new league year starts. Free agency, well, it starts before that, and then free agency starts March 13th, and it's going to be a fun ride. But let's talk about the new report that came out. Anthony Lynn, assistant head coach, leaves for the Commanders. He is their run game coordinator, and so we just want to salute Anthony Lynn for his time here with San Francisco. Look, if you ask me his position, he was the assistant head coach. As far as what his roles and responsibilities were, I cannot tell you that. Like, I really don't know what his roles and responsibilities were. He did whatever, I guess, the coach asked him to do, and he was more connected to the running backs. And if you remember, he was a former running back for the San Francisco 49ers, but he's also a former head coach. He coached the Chargers during his tenure, and he's been in Buffalo. He's been in many different places. So congratulations, he's now going to become the Washington Commanders run game coordinator. So I just wanted to show Anthony Lynn some love. And as you can see, like, I know everybody is getting ticked off because like these guys are like leaving the San Francisco 49ers, right? Like these coaches are coming in and they're leaving the Niners and things like that. And so it's a weird vibe when it comes to the San Francisco 49ers. But look, they're taking our coaches. Our coaches are going on to be with other teams, and there's nothing wrong with that, man. It's just the way it works. It's just the way the cookie crumbles, and we just kind of have to like deal with it. All right. I see a question out there. Actually, early. I see a couple of questions, and I like your questions too. So let's get to a couple of these questions. I think that I have starred, so be here with me. All right. Tej Beats. How long is Lenore under contract? So that's a good question because Diamador Lenore is still on his rookie contract, and I believe that's going to be up after this season, if I'm not mistaken. So um, let's see if I can go into. Yeah, he'll be a free agent after next season. Diamador Lenore. Him and Talanoa Hufunga will be free agents. Oh, so yeah, he won't be. Yeah, so that is going to be your free agent. 2025. Hold on, let me just double check. So in 2025, the 49ers will have 4 cornerbacks as free agents: Charvarius Mooney Ward, Isaiah Oliver. Oh my gosh, he's coming back. Henry Thomas and Diamador Lenore. Yeah, Diamador Lenore. I did not realize that he wasn't making that much money. But yeah, so those guys will be under contract to 2025. And so I hope that answers your question. Who will replace Greenlaw? And that's a tough question. I don't think Greenlaw is replaceable, Robert. But I'm gonna go with the second year player. They drafted this particular past draft and D Winters. I thought that was the prototype that they were using to, probably replace Greenlaw as his contract expires and goes down. So that's a guy that I would think if he can show that he's, up, on the up and up. You know what I mean? I think that'll be pretty cool. So we'll see what happens with D Winters in the off season, and how when he gets into them voluntary camps, like, did he show signs of improvement? Because somebody's gonna have to step up, right? Somebody's gonna have to step up because we got 22 free agents this season going into this offseason, and I don't think like the majority of them are going to even be back. So it's going to be interested and to see what they're going to do. I do agree we probably need to lock up Diamador Lenore, but he's gonna have to prove it again one more season. And I'm hoping that we draft like a good nickel back that can play outside this year. There are a few of them that I'm going to be talking about. Mike Sammerstill from Michigan. There's a couple of other dudes that I feel like can play really good at the nickelback. There's a kid from Florida State I think can play in the slot as well. We'll see. I don't know if you want to waste a top draft pick on just a nickelback, but I really would love Diamador Lenore to remain outside. Like, he's not bad inside, but can you imagine a full season outside corner? He would be a problem, I think. Niner Faithful Fantasy, who should the 49ers recruit off free agency? Any stars? I'm going to be honest, I haven't even started to look at the available free agents from other teams. I wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers, they don't have a lot of money. And so I know they're going to end up freeing up money, but we got to see how they start, when it comes down to restructuring contracts and things like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So we got to see, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go after another offensive lineman stud. If there's somebody available that's expiring, and let me go look to see the top free agents from the offensive line. Let's see who we got. Because I just feel like that's what the Niners need to do. Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. Let's go with O-line. We'll go the whole offensive line. They need to upgrade on the guards. They need to upgrade And you got a lot of older players, right? Like you got a lot of older players. I'd be looking at those young guys, but they gotta fit the scheme. They gotta fit the scheme. Um, they do gotta fit the scheme. I'm trying to see if there's any names that stand out that they might look into. I like Dalton Reisner, the guard out of Minnesota. Um, he's only 28. You can go get the guard from Kansas City, Nick Algoretti. I think he would be Allegretti. I think he'll be an upgrade over our guards. He played really well in the Super Bowl against the 49ers. He's the backup guard to Joe Thuney. So that's another guy. Tackle wise, Isaiah Wynn is a right tackle. Like you might be able to upgrade on your tackle and get Isaiah Wynn, and it'll be good because now some of these guys can go back to being like the depth. And I think the key is to get depth and have great starters. So we'll see. There's a bunch of names out there, Niner Faithful Fantasy. We'll see what happens. But let's talk about before we get to players. Like Kyle Shanahan spoke about Steve Wilks, and they asked him about Steve Wilks about returning as defensive coordinator. So let's just have the conversation for a quick minute or two, and I'll give you my take on it, and you guys can agree or disagree. So look, I thought Steve Wilks, when I look at the 49ers and I see where they finished, they ranked in the top 5. They had a top 5 defense this season. I know it seemed like they started to like kind of look broken toward the playoffs, toward the end of the season and into the playoffs, but they still remain number 1 in interceptions. Shout out to Dion for calling that. We had 21 interceptions last season, and Dion said we were going to get 22 this season. Shout out to my brother Dion, Niner Game Podcast. Make some noise, Dion. You were on point with that. And so look, when I think of what the Niners need to do, it's going to start here. Everybody wants players, but it's going to start here. And so something was off about the defense. I can't tell you what it is, but something was off about the defense. Something was off. I can't pinpoint it, but the bite, the grit, I don't know if it was the players that we had this year compared to the players that we had last year, or if it was the coordinating. And so something was off. And I don't think Steve Wilks did a bad job at all. I just don't think Wilks fits Kyle Shanahan. So what do I mean by that? Well, I think Wilks' style and his methods are a little different than what Kyle is used to. And so I just can't recollect if Kyle Shanahan ever felt like he had to veto a Robert Saleh call. I'm sure he did, or D'Amico Ryan's call. But when I watched this defense in this Super Bowl, that I'm sorry, they were playing A+ defense for almost 3.5 quarters. When they got into that overtime and Steve Wilks called an all-out blitz, this was the story. When he called that all-out blitz and Kyle called that timeout, I know Kyle said in the presser that, I didn't like the look and our players were gassed. It's because you didn't trust that play at that particular time against Patrick Mahomes. And so, like, for me, if I'm a defensive coordinator, like, that wouldn't sit right with me. Like, you can't micromanage me. I don't know if Wilks wants to come back. And I think that's more of the question. I think the 49ers would offer him his job, but I don't think Wilks, he may not want to come back. And that's real. Like, I wouldn't even be mad at him. Like, I thought Wilks upgraded that secondary. I thought he got them young players. You want to talk about how good Deommodore Lenoir is? That's Steve Wilks. You want to talk about how he turned Travarius Mooney-Ward into an all-pro? That's Steve Wilks. That's Wilks. Fred Warner was leading the team in interceptions at that point. Steve Wilks. I just think when it came down to, like, creating pressures and generating pressures, it wasn't the same. It just didn't look good. He couldn't disguise anything. It just didn't look good. And I think that is his method. I don't think he's heavy on the blitz. He never has been heavy on the blitz. He's always had the rush up front, whether it was in Carolina with a 3-4 defense and them outside linebackers. Like, he just never was heavy on the blitz unless it's one of his DBs. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they find a way to mutually part ways. When Kyle Shanahan was asked the question, he kind of like, he answered it and said, I don't know, kind of like, I got to go look at film, blah, 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 blah. And then later on, he kind of came back and said, I expect all my coaches to be back. But at the end of the day, this might be the end of the Steve Wilks era in San Francisco, and just be prepared for it. So that means that the Niners, if Wilks doesn't come back, if they mutually part ways or however they want to call it, if that doesn't happen, okay, then get ready, because now the Niners got to look for a defensive coordinator. And there's only one guy that is not tied up that I would like, and that would be Mike Vrabel. I think you get that type of mindset. You get that juju back. You get the grit back. You get a coach that'll be on the sideline and be up in the players' faces. You get all that back. It's weird how like that might have been the effect that was missing for the San Francisco 49ers. Super weird, right? And so I just don't think Steve Wilks, I'm not saying he wasn't the right hire. I just think Steve Wilks throughout the season did well, but for some reason the chemistry isn't there for Steve Wilks. We got a super chat contribution from Delvin Thomas. If Kyle did nothing wrong, then how come Juwan Jennings was the MVP of the Super Bowl? No other star player stepped up. Kittle back to Super Bowl for sad. So I got this is dope because I got a take on this. And when you look at Juwan Jennings, where does he line up? In the slot. I think Juwan Jennings is literally like a physical specimen out there in the football field. I think he's tall, he's big, he's strong, and he's hard to cover. And and he's improved in his route running too. And I just don't think they had with Debo when Debo came out of the game, Juwan Jennings really definitely stepped up. And I think that the Niners needed more Juwan. And for some reason, he wasn't a huge part of the game plan. And he never really is. I think that's part of adjusting. We probably didn't even see a surge of Juwan Jennings if Debo didn't get hurt in this game. And so, I don't know why Juwan Jennings, who is a restricted free agent, by the way, so I'm glad that you brought this up, Delvin. Juwan Jennings is a restricted free agent. That means that he can go and get offers from other teams, but the Niners have the option to match that offer or in return get some type of compensation. Okay, so the Niners own his rights, basically. It's crazy, right? He's had 3 accrued seasons. The Niners own his rights as a restricted free agent. So the question is, will he be back? And I don't know. Like, the Niners don't run a lot of 3 wide receiver sets. But they do need a guy that can dominate in the slot, man. And that's Juwan Jennings, yo. He did well because of the matchups. Because of the matchup. I think that, those cornerbacks, I told y'all those cornerbacks were going to be a problem, but the Niners could have taken advantage of those cornerbacks if Kyle would have called a more aggressive game plan. I'm a stand on that. If Kyle would have called a more aggressive game plan and let the Niners receivers be physical, it would have been different. Them Niners receivers was running down the field looking for bombs for Brock Purdy, trying to catch. Nah, that ain't even how we play all season. It was different. But will Steve Wilks return as the defensive coordinator? That's to be continued. We will see. But if I wouldn't be mad if Steve Wilks decided to and the Niners mutually parted ways, left on good terms, or it is whatever. And wasn't Steve Wilks taking interviews? Or was I don't remember. I believe Steve Wilks was taking interviews. Interesting. I got a dope comment from Patricia Cross over on Facebook. She says, "You have a good show. I like listening to you. And I think what you're talking about is so smart. You're talking about the Niners. You're talking about all of the information about them and what they need to do to be better. But I don't think the Super Bowl was for them. It was a lot for the Chiefs. They had a hold on, they had a hold. Yeah, they had a couple of holds. And I don't think it's fair. But it is what it is, and we move on. We learn and we move." This is a great comment because, I mean, I don't know what the refs were seeing in this game, Patricia, but they definitely weren't calling holding. Like, they weren't calling it. And I mean, there was one particular play. Let me see. I think I got this picture. I don't have it to share, but there was one particular play where the only person not being held on this particular play, I think, was Nick Bosa, and he pushed his guy back. But everybody else was held, and they just didn't call it. Now, I don't know if they didn't see it or what, but it just seemed like the script was in. The Chiefs needed to win. It was what it was. Blah 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 blah. Right? That's just what it is. Now, I'm not saying that it's an excuse or anything like that, but the Niners, Patricia, they had opportunities, okay, and they just didn't capitalize off the opportunities. They didn't capitalize. So Chiefs again. Look, you say excuses. I'm not saying excuses. All I'm saying is the Niners didn't capitalize off their opportunities, and they made a mistake. They made a mistake at the most crucial point of the game. They had a mistake early, right, and the fumble with Christian McCaffrey, but the muff punt, when that happened, it just literally changed the game. Like Patrick Mahomes threw an interception, and you think 2 turnovers to 1, you win the turnover battle, you win the game. This is kind of cool right here, right? Can the 49ers, this is from Quest 46, can the 49ers beat a good AFC team? So the only AFC team that the Niners beat last year was the Steelers, correct? We lost to the Bengals. We lost to the Ravens. We lost to the Browns. That's the AFC North. And we lost in the Super Bowl. Oh, and the Jags. I'm sorry. Thank you. How you say your name? Curry? Is that Curry? That's kind of dope. I don't know if I'm saying it wrong. So we beat the Jags. I never thought that the Jags would be an issue. I never thought that the Browns would be an issue. But for losing Debo in that game just changed everything. But they beat the Jags. They beat the Steelers. And they lost to the Browns, the Ravens, and they lost to the Chiefs. So, hey, I mean, it that's what it was. Like, they couldn't beat the good ones. But the Jags were good, and they destroyed them. Remember, the Jags were good. The Jags were in first place at the time. But the Jags didn't pose a threat to me for some reason, like I thought the other teams would. They just didn't pose a threat. And the Niners went out there and did what? Stop the run and force Trevor Lawrence to throw the ball, and they were able to tee off on him. So I just didn't think that I didn't think that the Jags were an issue. But when you look at the Ravens, it was going to come down to finding a way to stop a quarterback that doesn't lose to the NFC. And once that game got out of hand, they just bowed out. And then when you look at the Bengals game surprised me because the Bengals game reminded me of that Chiefs game. Remember that Chiefs game where the Niners got their butts whipped? That was the vibe. We turned the ball over and it was just a wrap. So, wait, Chiefs again. Hold up. United fans were talking a lot of smack this season. Now, no one's crying, bro. Who the fuck is crying? Like, ain't nobody crying. Why you got me cursing? Who's crying? It's daytime. I can't curse during the day. Nobody crying. We on here. If y'all would have lost, you wouldn't have even been in this chat if y'all would have lost. So come on, man. Miss me with that, fam. You in here. You're welcomed in here, but don't come in here saying that we crying. We just talking about what the fuck happened. You saw what happened too. Matter of fact, hit me up. We'll sit down and we'll go live and watch the film together, and I'll point out every holding call missed. Let's do that. Let's do it. That way you can understand where Niner fans are coming from in a little more depth. You know what I'm saying? But it's all good, man. And he is, and I, like I said, I appreciate you, man, for being a subscriber and everything like that. But if you would have lost, you wouldn't even be in the chat. So, and you know what? There was a the 33rd team put out a graphic about the power ranking quarterbacks, the top 32 quarterbacks, and they had Brock Purdy like number 18, and it bothered me because I don't understand how Brock is 18, and that's why I wanted him to win this Super Bowl more than anything, because the credit, they discredit him. Everything's about who he has on the team. I mean, the last time I checked, the Ravens got weapons. Their quarterback is a weapon. The Chiefs got weapons. Their quarterback is a weapon. The Bills got weapons. Their quarterback is a weapon. Do you understand where I'm going with this? Like, I don't think he should have been 18th. Definitely top 10. I didn't say top 5. But there's no way you could put Anthony Richardson and some of these guys ahead of what Brock Purdy did. That doesn't make sense. It didn't make sense. It didn't make sense to me from that graphic. So at the end of the day, look, and okay, cool, here we go. Breezy, no one else has 5 Pro Bowlers on offense. Who made them Pro Bowlers? Because I'm going to wait. I want to know who made them Pro Bowlers. They didn't make themselves Pro Bowlers because somebody had to get them the goddamn ball. So who made the All Pros, and Pro Bowlers? Somebody tell me who made them that. Because it wasn't them. Because they couldn't get All Pro and Pro Bowl with other quarterbacks. So yeah, we had a bunch of All-Stars, but at the end of the day, who made them that? It was Brock Purdy. They weren't all Pro Bowlers. No, they weren't. Come on, miss me with that. They weren't. They weren't all Pro Bowlers. And they all didn't have over 1,000 yards neither. And that's kind of like where I'm going with that. Like, they had really great seasons because they had a competent quarterback who was efficient enough to get them the ball. That's all I'm saying. All right, so at the end of the day, Brock still should be higher than 18. There's no way he should be 18. No way. No way he should be 18. That's disrespectful to me. And if that's your quarterback, you should feel disrespected as well. And at the end of the day, he went toe-to-toe with the number 1 quarterback in the NFL. He went toe-to-toe. He went toe-to-toe with him. Like, literally toe-to-toe. Like, the difference between Patrick Mahomes and Brock Purdy in the Super Bowl was Patrick Mahomes rushed for 66 yards. That's the difference. Prove me wrong, but that's the difference. I got to get you guys on here. So let me go ahead, and before I do that, I want to talk about Brandon Ayuk real quick, and the Niners, and they have a plan for Brandon Ayuk. They plan to, first of all, Brandon Ayuk he's signed to he agreed to the 5th-year option. The Niners exercised the 5th-year option, so Brandon Ayuk next season will make $14.2 million to be a wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers. That's a lot of money. Guaranteed, he makes that bread. It's a lot of money. 5th-year option, signed up, sealed, deliver it, bang, 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 bada boom, 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 right? Now, the question is, will he remain a 49er? Because there's some things that's going to come down. Now, I know you've been seeing all the stuff out there. I posted his best friend or brother, that he likes to call him his brother. He posted some stuff out there. Shout out to the New York Post, too, for putting that out there. But I posted that because this is the time. It's the off season is here. The 49ers were asked, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch were asked about Brandon Ayuk, and let's listen to what they had to say.
And is extending him a top priority for you?
Yeah, you have to prioritize all these things. Brandon's entering his 5th-year option. Brandon's been a fantastic player for us. Kyle calls him a warrior all the time because of the way he goes out and competes, and that shines through anybody who, whether you're a trained eye or whether you're a fan. You can see the passion he plays with. You can see the production that he's had. We're extremely, you know, prideful in what he's become, and he should be as well. And so, you know, your team is comprised of guys, you know, veterans who've been paid very well, of guys who want to be played very well. We got one guy on our team who, you know, is pretty prominent, who can't be played very, you know, real well right now because the CBA doesn't allow. So it's all one big puzzle. We've developed a good cadence over the years, Kyle and I, where he focuses on the season. We do all the planning, and then we present things to him, and we work through it. And that's what we'll continue to do. But, of course, you want a guy like Brandon Ayuk to be a part of you going forward.
So the Niners definitely want to make Brandon Ayuk a priority and find a way to bring him back, and they better. Like at the end of the day, like when I think about Brandon Ayuk, man, they don't make a bunch of guys like Brandon Ayuk. They don't make dogs. Like dogs are bred, right? And so it's gonna be really hard, really hard to replace a guy like Brandon Ayuk. Now I know there's wide receivers out there in this draft that are going to be trendsetters and game changers and playmakers and all that type of stuff. I get it, but will they be dogs? And I think that's the biggest thing, like that you're going to lose. Now we got some breaking news that I definitely want to talk about. Another 49ers another assistant coach is headed to Washington. He played linebacker in the NFL. His name is Darryl Tapp. He is going to be their defensive line coach. So Adam Peters is pulling away and offering jobs to guys he is familiar with. This is what happens. It happened last year with Ron Carthen. It's happening, and you guys are just going to have to accept the fact. Now, the issue with me is the Niners got to find coaches. Like I said, we started the show talking about the Niners are going to have to find coaches first and foremost because they got to start preparing for this draft. They got to start preparing for this draft. So Adam Peters just pulled another one away. Anthony Lynn is the run game coordinator. And now Darryl Tapp, breaking news, is the defensive line coach for the Washington Commanders. I got one more video clip I wanted to play for you from Brandon Ayuk. And I ain't going to front. Like, if you want to cry, cry. Like if that's how you feel. But let's go ahead and listen to how he felt at the end of the game, about the game, and things like that.
Brandon, is this the hardest postseason last year that you have experienced?
That's all I got.
Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah.
Brandon, what are you going to remember most about this particular roster this past season?
Just guys that came in to work to be champions every single day.
Brandon, is this the hardest postseason last year that you have experienced?
That's all I got.
Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure I played the clip from the beginning because Brandon Ayuk was emotional. So it's not like he trying to break down and cry, but like he was like, yo, none of us know like the amount of work that these guys put in to get their bodies to be ready to go through a rigorous type of season. And so I want to know what you guys think. You know what? I'm tired of talking. Let me go ahead and get the number up here. Let me know how you guys are feeling, and you can get your take off and all that good stuff. I'll take the first 5 or 6 callers or whatever, and then we'll jump off here. So there it is right there. I see a call in the queue. I'm going to go ahead and call that call back. And I'm hoping this all works right. So, Big Daddy Niners, what's going on, baby? Oh, I hear you. I hear you, bro. You trying to sell the truck? What year is it? Oh, wow. How many miles though? You like, 'cause you know, woo, that's a lot of miles. You putting a new engine in that joint? Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, we got five to see. So yeah. Oh, wow. Well, listen, man, thanks for calling in. I'm just curious to know, man, what's your take on everything that's going down? What's next for the 49ers in your opinion, in your eyes? And man, have your way, bro. Oh, wait, they said that they can't hear you. Hold on one second. Talk again. All right, hold on one second. They're not hearing you. So let me go ahead and try to fix this up. You guys can't hear the caller out there. It might be this thing. It was working. So we're going to try to fix that. And just bear with me 1 second. So let's see if we can get that all set up, set up, set up. And let's see if we can get it right. All right, I want you to keep talking. Hold on a second. This is crazy, yo. I don't understand why it does this, but it does it. So I just reset my system. So let's see if we can get you set up. All right. And let's go ahead and got the browser. All right. Try talking again. I want to see if they can hear you. Guys, can you hear him now? He's talking right now. You can hear me though, right? You just can't hear. I know you can. I mean, they out there. It's something about the way this thing is rerouted to the system. That's all. Just trying to get it right. No, they still can't hear you. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and end this call, and then I'll put the link in the chat so you guys can jump on. All right, bro. All right, so we'll end this particular portion of the segment. Not sure why he can't be heard. It's all set up properly. So we'll go. Oh, let me check this real quick. Nope. All right, so I'm gonna put the link inside the chat, and then you guys can jump on here for a couple of seconds. All right, here we go. Link in the chat. It's coming right now. While they doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and read these super chats. All right, let's go ahead and get to my man Oscar's super chat. He says, "Is there a wide receiver that we can bring in when trading Ayuk that automatically becomes number one read?" Yeah, it would be Marvin Harrison, possibly the kid. If you talk about drafting, it would be Marvin Harrison, like or the kid from Washington. He's pretty darn good as well. So there's some guys like that you could bring in. But I don't know, man. Like I don't want to get rid of Brandon Ayuk, but it would have to be. I would have to know that I'm getting Marvin Harrison, and that he's gonna be the first wide receiver off the thing. So thank you, Oscar. And here, hire Mike Vrabel from Review Scientology USA. Hire Mike Vrabel as DC and the Iowa State head coach as OC. Matt Campbell knows Brock Purdy very much. I don't think Kyle Shanahan will ever sign an offensive coordinator. I just don't think that they will get along. I mean, the person he got along with the most wasn't even an offensive coordinator. That was Mike McDaniel, and now he's the head coach. So I do agree with Mike Vrabel, though. I'm all for that if they choose to move on from Steve Wilkes. All right, let's get these guys up here. What's going on, E?
Hey, what's up, Breezy? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. How you feeling?
I mean, it could have been better, could have been worse. Obviously, you want to try to win that game. You don't like losing, but at the same time, taking the defending champions to overtime, it was a close game. I don't think that they're really that far away from being able to beat a team like the Chiefs. Like people that are saying, like, "Oh, Patrick Mahomes." Well, listen, let me be clear, okay? Patrick Mahomes is a great player. He's probably the best. Well, he's definitely the best quarterback in the league right now. That's all true. But he's not unbeatable. We just saw they took him to overtime. A couple things go a different way. Maybe if that punt doesn't hit Luter on the foot and they don't get. I mean, the only touchdown the Chiefs scored in regulation was off a punt that hit a guy on the foot, just a total like fluke play. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to. I'm certainly not putting this on the defense. I think the defense played great. I think that they had obviously must have had a good play design if they only held the Chiefs to one touchdown in regulation. And like I said, that was after recovering the ball off the guy's foot. So it's it's a tough game because in the first half there were so many opportunities where you felt like they kind of need to put the Chiefs away in the first half, in my opinion. Like, as far as I'm concerned, like, yeah, you could talk about what happened in overtime. You could talk about the decision to receive the ball. That seems like it was a mistake, receiving the ball in overtime. You could talk about what happened at the end of the game, the final drives and things of that nature. But to me, it was the first half. In the first half, the 49ers were clearly the better team. Like, I was watching the game with my son, and I just kept saying, like, the 49ers are rolling them right now. They're just not converting that momentum into points. They weren't like turning that momentum into points on the scoreboard, and they just let the Chiefs hang in it. And it's tough. I mean, it's hard to say that they didn't play bad. Like, I've been kind of critical of Brock Purdy. I think at this point everybody kind of thinks of me as like the Brock Purdy hater. But even what I've been saying, I don't think he lost the game. I just think he just didn't win it either. He had a lot of chances to put the Chiefs away, and I just don't think that they scored enough points. I mean, obviously, when you lose the game, you didn't score enough points, and it's a nuanced conversation when you're talking about a quarterback because, like, to a lot of people, there's only two extremes. He's either great or he's terrible. There's no room for interpretation. There's no room for anything in the middle, and that's why you get a guy like Baker Mayfield. It's hard to have a conversation about him because is he great? Not really, but is he that terrible? Probably not really either. So. It's tough. I just feel like this was their year. It felt like the dominoes all rolled their way. You had the Packers miss a 41-yard field goal. You had the Lions miss 2 fourth-down conversions. Like I said, holding the Chiefs to 19 points in regulation. This was looking like the weakest offense the Chiefs have had in the Mahomes era. Certainly, like the weakest wide receiver core he's ever had. And everybody pretty much healthy going to the Super Bowl except for Talanoa Hufanga. It just felt like, the dominoes really fell their way and they just couldn't capitalize on their opportunities. Like I said, they needed to put them away in the first half and they just couldn't get those sustained drives. They kept having to settle for field goals. I don't know if it was the play calling. I don't know if it was execution. I don't know. I don't know if it was injuries. I mean, Trey Greenlaw, that's a huge injury. At one point we're watching the game. We're seeing, Charlie Warner and Chris Conley on the field. And it's like, yeah, I'm happy for these guys. They get to play in a Super Bowl, but if Chris Conley and, Charlie Warner are on the field, where's Deebo Samuel? Well, he's got some sort of hamstring thing going on. Where's George Kittle? He was off the field towards the end of the game. Something happened with him. And, I don't know. It's tough. I just wish, I think we all wish they just made a couple more plays in regulation because you don't want to let it go to overtime. You certainly don't want to give Mahomes the ball in overtime with a chance to drive down, score a touchdown and win the game. I think it's like, I used the analogy earlier. It's like, in like a Friday the 13th movie, when Jason is chasing you, you need to run away. You don't just walk away because if you walk away, he's going to catch up to you eventually. And that's the way I felt like this game went. They just didn't capitalize on enough opportunities. They didn't put up enough points. They let the Chiefs hang in there. After the Chiefs got that touchdown, when the ball hit Luter on the foot and they recovered the ball, they took the lead. They shouldn't have been in position to take the lead. The 49ers should have scored more points before that. I think they really need to put them away early on, and they just didn't capitalize enough of those opportunities. And I hate to make it about Brock, but, the quarterback is the most important player in all sports, and the defense held Kansas City to 19 points in regulation. All you had to do was score 20 points to win a Super Bowl, and they didn't.
Right,
So
you're right. Very well said. Yeah, I don't see how it was on Brock. If he's not calling the plays, he has to go out there and execute what's called. And if the plays weren't executed properly, then that's not all on Brock.
Well, see, here's the thing. He didn't lose the game, but he didn't win it either. And at the end of the day,
well, the only reason why Patrick Mahomes even won the game was because he ran the freaking ball. So let's just call it what it is. Because Patrick Mahomes looked mediocre.
Well,
if we're gonna call Brock mediocre,
NFL,
but if they took away that run. So it's not like he could run because they took it away. They spied Brock Purdy. I don't know if you watched the game, but they were spying him. Do we ever spy? Nope. Why not? We talk about it every freaking week. Spy the quarterback. And that's what happens when you drop back in the pass and your linebackers are 15 freaking yards down the field. I'm sorry, I'm going to run, and I don't run fast as these quarterbacks. I'm going to run. I'm going to run. There's nobody in front of me. Dre Greenlaw being injured could have played a big deal in that, but that was part of the issue, and they took advantage of it. And you're right. The Niners didn't take advantage of the opportunity. You said that they should have put him away early, and they had the opportunity to put him away early, but when you turn the ball over and you don't get touchdowns, you just said this, it comes back and bites you in the butt. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
That's what happened, E. It bit him in the butt, and it is what it is. Patrick Mahomes put the team on his back. He ran, and
what I was gonna say about like Purdy didn't lose the game, he just didn't win it either. If you think about it, at the end of the day, those end up being the same thing. Because when you're playing a good team in the Super Bowl, if you don't make the plays to win the game, eventually the other team will. So I actually think, it's funny because people have been having this conversation about Brock Purdy. Is he a game manager or not? I don't think he's a game manager. Because, like, the difference between the opposite of a game manager is a gunslinger. I think Purdy actually does attempt a lot of tight window throws. He led the league in tight window throws this year. I think part of the problem in the Super Bowl looked to me like he didn't really rip. He didn't let it rip. Like, dude, like, you've been letting it rip, and that's been what's working for you is that you just go out there and let it rip. And I think in the Super Bowl, he tried to avoid making the costly mistake instead of trying to make those big plays. Like, I could live with Brock Purdy throwing an interception if you throw 2 or 3 touchdowns. Like, that's fine. That's enough to win a game. But he almost like didn't want to be the reason they lost, so he didn't attempt a lot of those like tight window throws. If you look at that 3rd and 4th play, people are talking about the 3rd and 4th play where the Chiefs blitzed. I think it was Snead. They blitzed Snead.
No, they blitzed
Snead was supposed to be covering Ayuk on that play. If you watch that play again, Ayuk was wide open. Brock could have, ripped it in there for the first down, but he kind of hesitated on the throw because there was like a safety or somebody dropping down, and I guess he was like reluctant. He didn't want to potentially throw an interception, so he held on to it. And then he tried completing it to Jennings, but I think the correct read on that play was Ayuk, and that's just one play, but it's just another example of Brock was kind of like scared to let it rip because he didn't want to have a big mistake, but you know what, dude? Honestly, let it rip. And if you throw an interception, I would rather have my quarterback let it rip. And then if you throw an interception, you know what? You did your best. You tried to win the game. But, trying to manage the game, trying to avoid the mistake, you're leaving the door open for the other team to eventually beat you. And unfortunately, that's what happened in the end.
Yeah, there's a big difference when your coach tells you what the fuck to do and the other coach lets you do what the fuck you want to do. That's the difference.
Well, yeah.
So that's the difference, and we know what that means. So, yo, E, thanks for calling, man. I got to get these other 2 on here, bro.
All right, thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Peace. So, yeah, there's a huge difference with Brock when, don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. Do this. And then you got a guy like Patrick Mahomes where, I wish Andy Reid would tell him what to do. Big Dez, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, brother. Let it rip.
I hear a lot of complaining about the holding calls and everything like that.
For sure.
The only thing I'm going to say to that is the Chiefs are the defending Super Bowl champions, correct?
100%. They're the team to beat.
Those refs are going to give them those calls because the Chiefs have earned it. I believe that we went in there with the wrong mentality. We are supposed to go in there and take the Super Bowl.
I know.
It seems to me that Shanahan was tiptoeing into the Super Bowl not to make a mistake.
There we go.
As far as Brock did enough to win the game. The things that have plagued us all year, we've talked about them. Offensive line and mainly the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the problem and we have weakness up the middle, why didn't Shanahan get Purdy outside of the pocket?
I couldn't figure out why there was 2 boot action plays in this whole game, bro.
Like we didn't get Purdy out of the pocket.
Twice. They did it twice. And because they knew what we were doing, it was ineffective. When I tell you, like, what Eric was saying that, he didn't do enough to win the game, like, and I feel like that's not the way I think I looked at it. He might have been a different Brock, depending on what was told of him or asked of him to do. And so what I couldn't figure out is why is my offensive line not blocking? Or why are they letting free guys come? And so, like, when you lose John Feliciano and then Spencer Burford goes into the game, and this is that's his snap 5 for him, and he just has a brain fart. And he even took, he took credit. He took accountability for that. I was playing off of instinct and not off of the scheme. And when he did that, Chris Jones is right in your face. That was a third down conversion dialed up by Kyle Shanahan that was about to be executed by Brock Purdy. And he probably could have hit Christian McCaffrey wide open for that. But unfortunately, you got a big 300-pound guy in your face, and there's nothing Brock can do. Like, there's nothing he can do. And so, like, when you look at that, I say to myself, why didn't Kyle have box beaters? That's what I like to call them. When they put 8 in the box, if you're scared to run it, what happened to the quick throws? What happened to the screens? What happened to the creativity from Kyle Shanahan? Was he timid, which forced his team not to play the way that they play? We talk about Deebo Samuel not being able to create separation and not be able to get open. He ain't did that shit all year. It's quick throw to him, and then he gets the ball in space, and bada boom, bada bing. So why didn't they do that? Why was Debo running routes down the field, running routes into the end zone? It just didn't make sense, right? Like, for me, it didn't make sense.
Didn't make sense to me either. And in this particular game, I'm sorry, and I've said this all year, Shanahan, if in the run game, if he doesn't rip off a 20 or 30-yard game,
explosive play,
he gets impatient and leaves the run game.
Oh, so you saw that too. I got you.
Everything you said was correct as far as towards the end of the game with the offensive line, but
they were good for 3 quarters.
We shouldn't have been in that situation.
They were good for 3 quarters.
We should have been running the ball and using all our stable of running backs. McCaffrey was gassed. He was running routes. He was running the ball. Mitchell and J.P. Mason in there a little bit, and let's run the rock. Every winning drive that we had during the game, we started off running the rock. Shanahan, for the second time in a Super Bowl situation, he failed to run the ball at crucial times. Mahomes didn't throw an interception for several playoff games in a row. We got an interception
by a rookie.
I think we were already up. I think we were up 10-6 or 10-3, one of them.
By a rookie.
We did not convert. I mean, not even a field goal. That was our chance to jump on the Chiefs right then. You can't expect Mahomes to be down the whole game. That dude has championship blood.
There it is. I was going to say he's a champion. Yeah, he's a champion.
He will get you.
He's a champion.
They are the defending champs. We are supposed to go in there and take that Super Bowl. Not tiptoe around, not have Shanahan lacks situational football. Situational football, he lacks it. He lacks it. The whole overtime thing, not knowing the rules. The Chiefs had a plan before that even came about. For Shanahan, I'm a Shanahan guy. I love Shanahan. But situational football and how he outcoaches himself.
There it is.
I think that's what the Empire is most upset with, is he outcoaches himself. And it's just sad. It's just sad. That Chiefs squad, our personnel is better than them. We are a better overall team than that squad. And Coach Shanahan went into the game. I'm sorry, he went in there too
conservative,
not looking to win.
Yeah,
not conservative. We supposed to take the fight to them, and we were.
What happened
I don't care if McCaffrey fumbled. Who cares? He is the best running back in the league. Keep feeding him. He gets tired, bring Mitchell in. He gets tired, hey, bring J.P. Mason or have the both of them on the team at the same. Show some kind of lean away from what you have always done. We didn't, other than the trick play, it was business as usual as far as the game plan. The Chiefs were all over us. They got all-star corners. Why are we trying them like that?
Down the field, right? Right.
Down the field. Why are we trying
down
them
the field? Take the physical. Our offense is physical. Let those guys, force those guys to be physical. I remember on a show I was saying, hey, like, get contact. See if the refs will get illegal contact down the field. Let those get physical. We got the most toughest wide receivers in the league, and we were playing with finesse.
Exactly. We didn't take the fight to the Chiefs for 4 quarters.
That's the take.
We had opportunities. You have to capitalize on those opportunities against a coach in Reed and Mahomes. That is the man.
That's the take.
That is the man. We have to beat them early. That's what Tampa Bay did. They got on them early, and it was smooth sailing from there. We just didn't on our opportunities, we didn't take advantage of them. And we're stuck with it.
I agree. Hey man, we'll be back next season, and that's what we got to look forward to, man. But I appreciate you for calling in, bro.
All right, shout out to the Empire, shout out to YouTube Breeze. Keep doing your thing.
Thank you, my brother.
All right.
Peace. All right, let's get Oscar on here. What's going on? Thank you for patiently waiting, guys, in the queue, man. I appreciate you, Oscar. What's going on, bro?
Hey, how you doing, Wayne? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you nice, loud and clear.
Well, nice to finally meet you over video.
Yes.
You know, the one thing that I have to say about the game is that it just didn't go our way. We had a lot of things that could have happened for us that didn't. Holding calls, taking advantage of the run. I mean, it's just things that we just weren't prepared for, and all that comes down to coaching. Whether it's Wilkes, whether it's Shanahan, whether it's any coordinator that we have, you just don't take advantage of what your strengths are. At the end of the day, Purdy could have won the game. Sure, he could have done many things, but it does come down to Shanahan calling the right plays. He, 3 or 4 or 5 drives, he ran the ball, got 1, 2 yards, maybe even got negative yards. Second play was always a pass that didn't, do anything. Like you said, quick screen pass, quick anything. He was always going for the first down on the second, and then on the third, of course, he's third and long. He's not going to get it, and it happened far too often. Really, I mean, personally, I'm looking forward to the draft, bringing in some new people. When it comes to Ayuk, if he wants to take the money, doesn't want to take the money, wants to go somewhere else, you do what you can. If he doesn't want to be here, you get as much as you can for him. I mean, if you can bring in a first rounder, a second rounder, I'm sure that you can get 2-3 picks for the cat if he doesn't want to be here. But at the end of the day, you have to decide what kind of team you're going to be moving forward. Whether you're going to be a Debo dominant team, whether you're going to be an Ayuk dominant team, but somebody has to take a little bit off of the slack off of CMC, because CMC is not going to last if you continue to give him the rock too much, and you need somebody to take over. Kittle's getting older, and you need, Debo or Ayuk to step up, and if it's not them, and it's somebody else. But, Shanahan needs to be concerned because, if Purdy is misused next year and he continues to have the same kind of season that he did where they get to the playoffs, they even get to the championship or the Super Bowl, and it's Shanahan that gets blamed for something not going right, ownership, even though they gave him that extension this past season, they're going to have to decide, is Shanahan the coach for Purdy, or is Purdy the quarterback for Shanahan? You got to make a decision because you have to pay Purdy when it comes down to it. He may be top 18 in some people's eyes, but for us, he's number 1. He's the one that got us to the show twice, championship 1 year, Super Bowl the other. So far, he's done a good job for just being a 24-year-old quarterback. So we'll see where that takes us, but that's pretty much about it for now.
Listen, Oscar, I appreciate you for jumping in, man. I appreciate that take 100%. And it's spot on, man. Like there's so many different ways we could look at this. And we're just gonna have to take it each and every way. We're taking our L and we're trying to figure out how to improve from it so it doesn't happen again. So I appreciate that,
Exactly.
man. Thank you, brother.
Much love. Have a good
All
one.
right. Peace. David, man, I got you in the queue. I hope you're ready. David, can you hear me? David might be away. David, you there?
Yeah, I'm right here, bro.
There he is. What's going on, bro?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm hanging in there, bro. Just trying to get ready for this off season.
Yeah, same here. I like how the other guy is saying about Brock Purdy, second year. He made it to the NFC Championship last year, made a Super Bowl this year. If he didn't get hurt, I think it would have been back-to-back Super Bowl appearance. I think same team. And yeah, man. And a lot of key players on the Super Bowl, they got hurt.
They did.
They got hurt after Greenlaw went down. Patrick Mahomes seen that, and he told the coaches, "Number 57's injured. Number 57's injured." And guess what happened? After he got hurt, they changed the plays. They capitalized the plays when Greenlaw was out. Because when we had him, Kelsey didn't. He only got one touch or 1 yard.
Yeah,
We shut him down in the first half.
Oh, you know, because he was yelling at his coach. Remember?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So like I think a lot of the Chiefs fans won. I mean the Chiefs won, but a lot of them have a lot of amnesia because all they see is the W. But I didn't. Let me tell you something. I was there, and them Chiefs fans were undercover. They weren't even wearing Chiefs stuff. When they won the Super Bowl, I swear they went and put on Chiefs clothes.
They pulled it out. They pulled it out.
Yeah, like they were nervous the whole time, but they ended up winning. So let's not act like the game wasn't a good game because it took overtime for y'all to win that game. So it is what it is, man. I think you're right. The Niners, you look at a guy like Brock, man. He has the ability to get you to these big games. And I think it takes a little bit more than Brock to win the big game, but I'm all on the up and up that I think Brock is just only going to get better, bro. Like I don't see him declining. There's no ceiling or floor for Brock. You drafted him in the 7th round. You kind of take what you can get, and now you're saying, okay, here's his strengths, here's his weaknesses. Now let's maybe Kyle plans around his strengths as he works on his weaknesses a little bit more in this, and in the upcoming season. So we'll see what happens when it comes to Brock.
And like the other guy said, we were a way better team than that Kansas City Chiefs team. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like we stopped running the ball with Christian McCaffrey. We stopped. I know we got more yards when he was in the receiving crew, and he did what he had to do right there.
He was 80 for 80, dog. He had 80 on the ground, 80 in the air.
Oh, hell yeah. So, I don't know. I hope Greenlaw comes strong next year. And you think he's going to be playing next year or he's out?
Now, he got injured in the Super Bowl, man. I don't think Greenlaw sees the field in 2024, man. He'll start the season on the IR. And the Niners are going to have to fill a hole. But if I'm the San Francisco 49ers, you know who I'm going after in free agency? My number one target? Azeez Al-Shaair.
Oh, that's what I've been talking about too.
Yeah, go get him back. He's a free agent. Pay that man. I don't give a if they run nickel, pay him, put him on that field, and then you deal with one of the rookie running backs playing the Sam linebacker. At this point, like I think that's what you do. That's what I would do.
I've been saying that on the other shows too. Bring back our Shire and pay him like 2 or 3 years, and
just lock him up, man. Lock him up. And that way your depth is stronger. It gives you time to still, what's the word? develop the young linebackers, and you continue to draft the linebackers. You said that certain players are getting older. Fred's getting older too. I know he's still young, but we're talking about wear and tear on the body. Like Fred had a monstrous All-Pro season. They're gonna have to figure that out. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna have to figure it out. So I'm with you, bro. I'm with you 100%.
How much money does Arcia want? Does he
We
want?
don't know yet. I don't think Alshire had like a bang up season.
Yeah,
And so like he's gonna have to play the market of the linebackers. There'll probably be a few that are ahead of him. I think the Niners make him a nice 2 to 3 year offer, man. I think that's really dope.
and bring back Ayuk and sign Jennings too, if we could.
So the Jennings is going to be more tricky because there might be a team that sees him as a good number 2 guy. They'll pay
Yeah,
him the money. The offer might be too big with the Niners, who are going to want to pay for a guy like Jawan Jennings, who will be number 3 still, and so they'll just take the compensation for him.
we can't French tag him.
Can you franchise tag a restricted free agent? I don't think so. I don't think they can. I have to look up that. I don't know if they can.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah,
No, they
man.
said you can. They said, but why would you franchise tag? I wouldn't. So okay. If you can franchise tag, I'm not paying him $18 million a year.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But he's kind of worth it though. He makes
for
big
1
plays.
year, he would be making more than Brandon Ayuk.
Oh, nah. You're right.
So
So
I think that franchise tag number is pretty high. But it's a tender. Oh, they can put the tender on him. So he might not go. So the Niners can put the second round tender on him, meaning that if you want him, you got to give us a second round pick back. That's how it works because he's restricted.
yeah,
So like if you're a team and you offer him a 3-year deal for a certain amount of money, the Niners are like, all right, you can take that offer, but you got to give us a second round tender. You got to give us a second round pick. Excuse me.
nah,
I don't think teams are going to give up that second round pick. So he'll be here for 1 more year.
yeah. And I was gonna ask you one more question. Where you were sitting at?
Oh, I didn't attend the game. I was at a watch party down there. So I wasn't at the physical. I wasn't physically at the game, but I was in Vegas though.
You were at the Niner watch party.
Yeah, with John Chapman. We was at the Rush Road Trip party. Yeah.
Yeah, I seen that. They popped it up on YouTube, and yeah, they show all of you guys.
Yeah, it was a good time. Good time,
Yeah.
but bad outcome.
We'll be back. I think we're gonna play the same team because Patrick Mahomes said he's going for 3, what nobody hasn't done yet. Not even Tom Brady has done 3. So he said he's coming back for 3, and he has a young team coming back. So it's like we should have won that game. We should have won that.
We should have. And like the other caller said, we didn't take advantage of our opportunities, and we didn't capitalize on the opportunities that we had. And so,
And we didn't get points on the turnovers where we got the 2 picks.
there you go. There you
Yeah.
go.
All right, man.
All right, David.
Thank you for having me, and we talk soon, man.
All right, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, let's go Niners all day, every day.
All right, peace. All right, got a couple more I want to get on here. CJ Gray been waiting patiently with the Pro Bowl jersey on. That jersey fresh, bro. Is that this year's jersey or is that prior?
This is from '95. This is Jerry Rice.
That's when they used to play. Yeah.
Yeah.
when it was a game.
Yeah, when it was actually a game. Yeah.
Right. When we watched it on Sunday and tuned in, it was like, yeah, I got you, bro. What's going on, man? How you feeling?
I appreciate the thoughts on Breezy, but I have a couple thoughts.
Okay.
I know why BA is frustrated because I've gone through the tape. Have you gone through the game tape yet?
I've gone through the game tape, bro. You want to talk about wide open?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just
There's
wanted
two
to
plays
make.
that come to mind. What two plays are you coming up with? Because
This your take. You got it.
Right.
You take us away.
All right. On the first drive, Christian McCaffrey fumbled, right?
Correct.
That fumble never happens. If Brock Purdy, instead of throwing to Ray McCloud, he sings that thing deep to Brandon Ayuk, who had beat his coverage, and he was open. Brandon Ayuk actually threw his arms down after that play. Like he was frustrated. It was a touchdown. That was 6.
Mm-hmm.
No fumble from Christian McCaffrey at all.
Mm-hmm.
The second one that I wanted to cover is the 3rd and 4 at the 2-minute warning in regulation on the McDuffie blitz.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Ayuk seen the blitz coming, because soon as right at the snap, he turned and faced Brock Purdy right at the snap.
I don't know where those throws
if Brock Purdy just snaps the ball, stands up, and flings it to Ayuk real quick, and he did that throughout the season. There's tons of times throughout the regular season that Brock Purdy makes that play.
That's what I'm saying.
And he did not make that play, Breezy. And that was the Super Bowl, and that was game, match, over if he just does that. And for whatever reason, he is looking at the sideline and throwing a Jenny. There's two problems with that. One, you don't have pre-snap blitz recognition.
That's on the center, though. That's on the
quarterback too.
No, you're right. The pre-blitz, you're right. That's not there yet. You're right.
But
I got you.
It's on the quarterback, and he didn't throw it. And that's first off. The second problem I have with that play is I understand Jennings had a good game, but Brandon Ayuk is your number one wide receiver. I don't understand for the life of me. 3rd and 4, Super Bowl is on the line. Why are you not looking at your number one receiver as your number one target on that route?
Especially if he's not doubled.
And so he's not doubled. And the guy that was covering him came on a blitz and left him open.
I understand. You talk about McDuffie, OJ McDuffie. The moment he lined up, I promise you, I was like, yo, he blitzing. Like I said, I said to this lady and this lady, he's going to blitz. Let's see if Brock can, beat it. He's good against the blitz. Brock was trying to throw the ball in front of him, opposed to he didn't have any awareness of what was going on outside. Like, so when he walked up to the line, you're right. He doesn't have the pre-snap, just awareness of what's going on. But it's just weird because I don't know if that was a play that was changed when he saw the blitz and Brock didn't know his route, because he was still expecting Brandon Ayuk to do a different route on that, but Brandon Ayuk stayed there. That would have been how Debo does. That's a quick throw, and nobody was in front of him.
And the guy that was supposed to replace the blitz on the coverage, he was too far off to make that tackle.
That's what I'm saying.
There's no way he's making that tackle.
And so Brandon catches that ball, and then he slants through the middle of the field because ain't nobody there, and his possibility is 6. I got you.
It might be 6.
That's what I'm saying. It was at least a first down. It was a first down.
At minimum, the game is over.
Right.
I got you. The game is over.
Right, because now you got the ball. They got to use their timeouts. You understand what I'm saying? And you're not giving Patrick Mahomes 13 seconds, any seconds. I get it, bro. I get it.
So those are the two plays that stand out in my mind when I have watched that tape. Is that Brock Purdy, it was very uncommon. Both those plays, all regular season, Brock Purdy was making them all throughout the regular season. And so I can't come away and say, oh, it's a talent thing. No.
Because you've seen him do it.
Because I've seen him do it in the regular season. It's the Super Bowl. It's the biggest moment. And now I'm about to crap all in my pants. And so that's what it is. It is what it is. And now I will say moving forward, he's probably going to get more experience, and he probably makes those plays. Mm-hmm. Maybe if he's put it back in those spots again. But for right now, this blaming Kyle Shanahan, this what did he do in the overtime, all of these things is all irrelevant if he makes these two plays. If he makes one of those two plays, especially the 3rd and 4 at the 2-minute warning, which is going to run the clock out. And the second problem that we got, that's me covering the Brandon Ayuk frustration, because I saw probably a total of 4 plays on tape that should have went to BA without doubt, without question. He had time. He had the time. It wasn't a play that he was getting hit with the blitz. It wasn't a play that they didn't get blocked. It was a play that he either went to somebody else, and he just went to somebody else instead of Brandon Ayuk, and the play was completed or not. But especially, there was a play where he went to George Kittle on the sideline, where he had that one-on-one coverage.
It was a third down, wasn't it? Yeah, it was a third down.
Brandon Ayuk, that over route, that intermediate over route that Brandon Ayuk always runs, it was open.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how much of Brock like we talk about pressure, not necessarily like just the pressure from the defense, but like just the pressure of like, him getting hit 6 times and things like. I wonder if that affects him to speed up his process to want to make that right, the quick throw, the right throw, basically take what the defense is giving him. That was a tough throw to George Kittle too. He made a good catch on that one to dive for that first down.
No, not that play. I'm talking about a play down the sideline that was incomplete.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when he was 1-on-1 on the sideline and he threw the sideline, it was incomplete. Brandon Ayuk was on the over route. And at the same time period, he threw the ball to Kittle. He could have thrown that ball to Ayuk.
And like I said, Brock missed some throws. Like he missed some reads. Let me make that clear, because there was a play where Deebo Samuel was wide open and nobody in front of him, and he threw it to Brandon Ayuk out of bounds and it was over his head. So there was a bunch of missed reads from Brock Purdy, but there's missed reads from quarterbacks in every game.
I get that. I get that part, but it's the reason why I chose those 2 plays. That's why I chose, because I know
his frustration. More. No, you were talking about BA's frustration.
Brandon Ayuk frustration. Yeah. You thinking that's a bomb, big touchdown play in the beginning of the Super Bowl, or it's a play to ice the game and you win and you're champions. These are high leverage moments that Brandon Ayuk knows that was missed. And honestly and truthfully, most number 1 receivers in the NFL, they're the number 1 receiver. They get that football, man. They get it. For the most part, they get it. Whether it works or it don't work,
they get the opportunity
coming to them, because out of the respect that they're the number 1 and they're going to get the football. And then just like in the big moments for Kansas City, all the big leverage moments, the ball went to Travis Kelce without fail. So,
I mean,
I'm just talking about in the late parts of the game. Now, in the beginning of the game, we had
Mahomes, but it was different though. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it was different. Like he was locked, but once Greenlaw went down, he became unlocked. And it was a totally different game, and it opened up the middle of the field tremendously. They were even able to get a couple of good runs now that the middle of the field was open, and I thought that was the difference. Like Kansas City took away the middle of the field, and they were forcing Brock to throw it outside. They were speeding up his processing a little bit. I thought that their defense played good, but
Kansas City played lights out. They played lights out.
I thought they did really well, especially with the blitz. And I think that's the biggest difference in this game. Because if that Chris Jones, and that's not a blitz, but on that Chris Jones play, if he's even touched.
Yeah, it's a touchdown to Jennings.
It's just, and so like, this is not an excuse. This is execution. This is the Niners not executing. So whether you blame the throw on Brock, there was a touchdown throw to Deebo Samuel wide open in the end zone, and he missed Deebo by 10 yards.
But he was getting crushed.
But he was getting pressured.
That's why I didn't bring it up.
But my point was that their defense was applying the pressure, and that's why I'm trying to figure out. I wonder if that pressure, those hits, was making him just not look like Brock. Like, you know what I mean? Not see the right read or not go with that. Because he was literally trying to get that ball out on that play to, I think, Christian McCaffrey. Somebody was open, and the blitz came from O.J. McDuffie. It was just no time to throw the ball. Like, O.J. McDuffie was in his face, like, as soon as he hiked the ball. But like you said, he had the beater right there. He just didn't throw it to him.
Right in his face. Front of his face.
He just didn't throw
it.
It
was a short, easier throw than him trying to go to Jennings.
Yeah.
It was an easier throw.
Right.
And it's your best player. So that's kind of where I was at. But the other point that I was trying to make, just not the BA frustration, but also the O-line problems.
Oh, man.
We talked during the last offseason. Mm-hmm. Every content creator, every evaluator of a fan that I respect talked about the 49ers offensive line and them not making no upgrades, no changes to it, like of significance. And we're sitting here in the Super Bowl, and that is the main reason why we're losing the game, because it's not just the free rushers that was coming after Brock Purdy. It was also the stifling of the run of Christian McCaffrey. Now, I know his stats say 22 carries for 80 yards, but 3 of those 22 carries went for 30 yards. So that means the other 19 carries that Christian had the football, it went for 50 yards. It's barely 2 yards a carry. They were stuffing it.
Yeah, but that's the not
like Thanksgiving.
But yeah, but that's Kyle Shanahan running into the meat of the defense. So there's other ways to run the ball. Like you don't have like whatever happened to outside zone. That we were that team, and you couldn't stop it. But you get these running backs and this particular type of offensive line and Aaron Banks. I just don't think our guards are equipped for outside zone running. And that's the difference.
And they're not big enough to run inside either.
That's what I'm saying. And they're not big and strong enough to push inside for the power run. When I tell you, I think, who was I talking to? I said, man, I never thought I would say this, but I miss Laken Tomlinson. Like, I never thought I would say that. Because him and Trent on that left side was so dominant and the run game that it made up for all the discrepancies on that right side. The right side has always been an issue. Whether we have Mike McGlinchey,
center too,
right?
Center too,
and that. So hear me out. That's where it starts. And I think in this draft, the Niners have the opportunity to get a guy like Powers Johnson from Oregon. There's a kid from Florida that they can look into. I think you upgrade at the center position, either address it in free agency, find the right one. I think that's where it starts, because you talked about what helped Jimmy Garoppolo out a lot was that he had a center to slide the protections. And so I don't think our guy is that guy. I just don't think he's that dude. I love him.
No, he's not the guy, because all over tape he's getting ran over before Brock Purdy gets hit. All over the tape. And also when Christian McCaffrey when they're trying to run it to McCaffrey, Brindle is getting like
he's in the backfield.
On the fumble, that Christian fumble, the center got beat and thrown to the ground, and the same guy that threw him to the ground came behind,
forced the fumble, knocked the fumble out. So if he holds his block,
there's no fumble.
There's no fumble because there's no second. I got you, bro. Look, all I'm saying is, if I'm Kyle Shanahan, I know we need a right tackle, we need a right guard, we need a left guard, and we need a center. I would get the center, and now you got a good backup in Brindle. If anything happened, he know the system. You paying him backup money anyway, and I think that is the route you go. You go get a center. There are some good centers I've seen at that Senior Bowl. There's some good centers in this draft, and you could get a center and a tackle in the first 2 rounds. I think they go offensive line. If there's a center that fits Kyle's system, you got to get him.
Where we're drafting, you could get the best, probably the best top center in the draft, because those are not drafted high in the first place.
They go late in the first round, but there's a kid out of Oregon and Jackson Powers Johnson that I just think is the strongest motherfucker I've seen in my entire. He is strong. He is strong, and so that is what I need. Zone guy. I think that's what they need to address. Matter of fact, I got to jump off here because I got to get on Bleacher Report. But that is a position I think that will start and save Kyle Shanahan. Get that center.
And there's one last thing I want to leave you with before I go. Trent Williams.
Yeah.
I watched the tape.
Yeah.
The clock is ticking. We need a left tackle. The clock is $27 million. The clock is ticking. I don't know if you saw that Purnell, that video of Purnell, their third defensive
when he knocked
tackle.
Trent on his butt.
Just Mark Henrying him on his back.
It was one play, and that could have been. It could have been footing. It could have been
the penalties. It's also the penalties too, and then it's not just that play I'm citing. There was other plays too, where he played solid. He played better than the other linemen. That's what goes without question. But $27 million.
I mean, you pay your left tackles, dog. I'm not ready to move on from. If Trent not ready to move on, you don't move on from Trent. Do you draft somebody to
throwing the question?
No. I'm saying
I'm not hard in my position. I'm just throwing it out there.
No. I'm just saying if he ain't ready to move on, you got a left tackle that's gonna be dominant throughout the regular season, the majority of the season. He's still your best option. Now, do you find somebody that could come in there and probably shadow him and take that over? For sure. I don't know if you need to do it in this draft. I don't know
if you can do it in this draft just based on the other needs.
There's a couple of guys I like, but I don't think they're Trent. They're not there. I want the tackle out of Oklahoma to play right tackle. That's who I want. That's who I think we should go ahead and get. I'm going to talk about him on Bleacher Report, but let me get Gammon on here, bro, and I appreciate you, man.
All right, man.
All right, peace. All right, man, you get to close us out, man. The Great Gammon is in the building, y'all. What's good, bro?
Man, I am just beyond happy, grateful, and thankful. You've been the only content creator that actually said center. So I'm not even going to touch that one. I just hope that you ride the brakes off that, because everyone's going to spin this wild narrative about right tackle,
Yes,
right guard, and holy hell, center is the centerpiece of this offensive line.
Always has been, Gammon. It always has been. When you go back to when Kyle got here, who did he go after in free agency? Weston Richburg. Why? Because his ability to be able to move off the ball, slide the protections, all that type of stuff. And then what happened after Weston Richburg got injured? It was makeshift, right? We got to the Super Bowl in 2019, I want to say with Ben Garland. I just, and it didn't work. Right? It was makeshift. And then you go get Alex Mack. And what happens when you get Alex Mack? It looked like
you somehow don't draft his replacement when we could have drafted his replacement, let him sit behind Alex Mack for a year. That was one of the most puzzling things.
I don't think they thought Mack was going to retire, bro. But that's the thing. These guys are older, just like CJ said. Like Trent said he was coming back. But shoot.
It's a lot to push that boulder back up on the hill. And another thing that I'm not seeing a lot of content creators talking about is that we might need to really, it's going to be interesting to see what we do in the late first round, because if there's an awesome defensive back or a free safety, I think you have to take it, because I don't trust, if we get a really strong defensive back, then we'll have 3 good defensive backs corners that we can really trust to take the pressure off of our safeties. But if we're not able to find one, but there's a stud, an absolute stud free safety, because we're going to lose Gibson. And Brown, honestly, love the kid, but he looked lost a few times. But things are going to be different when you're playing at Penn State, going up against Oklahoma State versus going up against Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Kansas City Chiefs. So
for sure,
it could be a whole lot of growth there.
Can I just add this, though? I think next year, I think they bring in free agents for that, and they got some guys that they're still developing. But I think you can move Jair Brown to free safety, let him play the field. He is a ball hawk. Yes. And so now you can move Hufanga back into the box where he belongs. Right. I think that tandem might look really good. Few mistakes. I think if this would be me advocating for Steve Wilkes, because I know he would get those guys right. That secondary, he is great at his secondary. I never thought that how did you get a guy to play inside and outside at like an A+ level? That's Diamador Lenore. Like, right. That's amazing. But you talked about a DB. I like this, man. I didn't think we were going to talk about prospects. If Quinion Mitchell is available at 32, I'm sorry, we've never done it, but you draft Quinion Mitchell. Because Mooney Ward's on the last year of his deal in this upcoming year. Diamador Lenore's on the last year of his deal this upcoming year. I think you probably make men's to sign Diamador Lenore because he's younger. And then you find this kid, Quinion Mitchell, out of Toledo. We know what Toledo guys look like. We got Samuel Womack III. They're real cool friends, too. I talked to him. At the end of the day, that's the guy I would draft if he's available at 32. Here's the thing. I don't think he'll be available at 32. And then there's other guys I like in this draft. There's a kid from, I believe, Kansas State that I like, Andrew Phillips. There's some kids that we can definitely get. If you're going to go nickelback, you can get Mike Samuel from Michigan. There's a kid from Florida State that plays well in the slot. There's some kids, but you don't have to spend the first round pick on them. So, right. The only one I would spend the first round pick on is that Quinion Mitchell kid. He's a dog. He only got beat on one play at the Senior Bowl by the Michigan receiver, and it was because he slipped.
Right.
That's what happened. I told him, I was like, yo, you got beat by my guy, but it's because you slipped. He was like, yeah, he got me. I was like, nah, you slipped. He's like, nah, he got me. No, he didn't route you up. He was good. Roman Wilson was good, but you really did slip. You had him. That's how good he is. He's a lockdown corner.
Right. And unpopular opinion here, but we had the 8th most rushing attempts in the league, and we were 32nd with our passing attempts in the league. So very unpopular opinion, because everyone's focused on how we can't block or stay strong up front. So everyone's looking for these mid first round picks like in the top 15.
I meant 31st. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, they understand. They get it. I think what we need to really focus on is just finding run blocking ogres in the mid round. Because look, I think they're the savior. Other teams are not going to get rid of their dominant pass blocking, run blocking dual threats as a right guard. We're not going to be able to afford them. We're not going to be able to trade up to get 3 quality, a center, right guard, right tackle. Like we're not going to be able to. So if you realize like your play to your strengths, and if we just make this, we do what we do the most instead of focusing on what we do the least on offense. We just get some run blocking daddies up front, and everyone's just nasty to follow Trent's nastiness. The other thing too, I was going to say is I would love for you in a week or so when you get a chance to kind of collect your notes, maybe get your steam back. But we need like a rookie recap because I'm seeing a lot of reports about people saying we need a linebacker. And I was such a huge fan of D Winters. What the hell is going on with some of these guys? And then I'm trying to blaze through some of these points, and that way you can do your Bleacher Report.
No, you got some really good points. I want to touch on it because D Winters, I mean, look, special teams guy, rookie season, and he's probably one of the only rookies that, we started off with Ronnie Bell. He did what he did. Then they took him out. I think D Winters, Jalen Graham, I think they get the opportunity because I don't think you re-sign Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles. I don't think you're going to re-sign Oren Burks. So now you see they're going to get an opportunity to come out here, but you can still draft the linebacker because you got to keep the wheels churning. I think we got how many picks we got? 11 to 13. We got a plethora of picks. So I think they still go draft a linebacker, but they got some guys that I want to see if they can definitely progress and move up.
Right. I just don't think it needs to be where I'm seeing like it like kind of like stated. The narration is like, we need to spend kind of like a top 100 on a linebacker.
It's offensive line, it's DB, right? And I go back to the D line. I'm sorry. I think you continue to build up the D line.
I agree because what's interesting is if you look at, and this would be, I think everyone's list is going to be different, but I think the numbers per position group, even for all content creators and people who cover the 49ers, the numbers are going to be kind of similar. If everyone makes their list and you write these are what I think the top 10 free agents are for this team, I think like 5 of them are defensive linemen. So for you, it might be 4, but we're talking about Young, right? We're talking about Kinlaw. Right, we're talking about Gregory, right? That's already 3 right there. So if you just mess around, you're probably going to come up with at least 1 more defensive lineman. So to your point, we need a huge amount of depth, especially when you see Armstead. If I were to say, hey, we play into the playoffs, so that's at least 18 games. Out of those 18 games, with the cartilage issues, the foot issues, right, hip, back, how many games do you think you're going to get out of Eric Armstead next year out of 18 games? I think that number is going to be kind of low. So we already need that +1 depth. The other thing too is I don't want to lose Juwan Jennings, right? I'm living here in Tennessee. When he played for the Vols, and anybody here who is also too in Tennessee, what his nickname, what we called him, what his nickname here for the Vols was, the Tennessee Vols. It was Daddy, and that's exactly like what he was. On Eric Crocker's show a couple weeks ago, I called it and I said, even though that the Chiefs have an All-Pro slot corner, Juwan Jennings plays in the slot. I said Juwan Jennings is probably going to be our best wide receiver that game because he's just a monster. He's 6'3". I would like to see him get replaced by Jerry Rice's son, who's 6'4", is faster. Nice. Oh yeah, just an absolute monster. Look, this wide receiver class, we are going to sign Brandon Ayuk. Okay, the first 2 years of a contract, right, are very, very cheap. Very, very cheap.
Especially the way the Niners do it. Right. Yes.
Right. You backload it. So I think for at least 2 more years, you can make it work with Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel. Okay. The third year is where it could get a little weird depending on how you backload it. But I do think, though, that we can replace Juwan Jennings this year because this year's draft class is about as deep as Jermaine Cole's lyrics. But the only thing is that gives you pause is it depends on how you feel about the 49ers drafting skill positions, because the 2 wide receivers that they drafted and the 2 tight ends that they drafted, right, that were supposed to, that's 4 players to replace one guy, Juwan Jennings, hasn't panned out. So I think that's really all about how you feel about that. But we need a huge infusion of youth for sure. And that's really all I got.
Cameron, I appreciate you, bro. Way to talk that draft talk, man. I like that, man. Thank you for coming on, brother.
Appreciate you.
All right. what a great show. What great call-ins. I'm sorry that the actual phone computer internet thing wasn't working, but it's all good, right? I still was able to get some of you guys on here. Shout out to everybody that came on. Shout out to everybody that remained in the chat and continue to just talk trash. I see you, Great 1765. Listen, Brock Purdy's elite in my book. I understand that he didn't play at an elite in the Super Bowl. Neither did Patrick Mahomes. I will put that out there like that. And he's elite. But Patrick Mahomes is a football champion. Wow. He's the guy. He's the guy to be beat. And who knows? Maybe Brock Purdy will take a page out of his book. You know what I'm saying? And we'll see what happens. So, it is what it is, man. The Niners, they didn't win. And so now how do we get better? What's next for the San Francisco 49ers? They're going to have to do exactly what they need to do to be better. And I'm going to tell you right now, guys, it starts with coaching. It starts there because the Niners right now, they're losing just about everyone. And at the end of the day, boom, boom, boom. They're going to have to replenish that. So it'll start there. Then free agency will hit and we'll see. Like some of you guys said, if there's a center available that fits Kyle's scheme, you go after that center. You just do it. You start there and then you supplement that offensive line. I guarantee you if the center is better, the offensive line is better. It's just the way Kyle Shanahan's offense works. It's built around the center. You don't have to worry about your left tackle, and then you kind of make shift with the other guys. So let's see how that pans out. There's some centers that I like in this draft. I'll be talking about it today at 4 p.m. on the Bleacher Report. I'll hit up Mike and see if he's available to do No Harm, No Foul a little bit later. But Mike is away with his family, so that's why we didn't bring you a show yesterday. Guys, I love you. Let me make sure I didn't miss any Super Chat contributions. I did. Shout out to Peachy. Peachy's in the building. She says, congratulations to me, Breezy, a post about BA, which was featured in the what's today? Yesterday. It was featured yesterday in the New York Post. Make sure you guys join the channel, showing love and appreciation to the hardest working man out there. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. And happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there. I hope you guys enjoy your day, man. And just love at the end of the day. Just freaking love. All right. Love you guys, man. Stay up. Stay faithful, man. Always keep it nitty gritty. Till the next time, we out this Jones. Peace.
I be sipping gold bar, whiskey on the rocks, and a 24 karat gold on a watch. My 7-1 Chevy be tipping non-stop, sounding like Trent Williams on the block. So you know we can't stop, we be banging through your speakers. WayneBreezie on the field or in the bleachers. You can tune into my show and I'm a teacher. WayneBreezie, the 4-9 preacher.